Yeah, good morning all of you. I am Dr. Subramanyeswar Rao from Sasi Institute of Technology and Engineering. Already in my last video, I have given the prerequisites related to the course Signals and Systems. In this, I want to introduce the course by justifying the title Signals and Systems. To justify the title Signals and Systems, we need to define first what is a signal, what is a system, and what is a signal processing. So first, starting with signal is a physical quantity. Signal is a physical quantity that varies with respect to one or more independent variables. The mostly used variable is time. And some of the examples related to it is speech signal, which is a telephone or radio or any sort of the signal. Other one is biomedical signals, that will be taken ECG, EEG or brain signals. Like that we can define. Not only this, temperature signal, speed of a vehicle, and these signals can be defined with respect to the variable, independent variable time. Suppose if you take this example S1 of t equal to 5 into t, it means the function S1 is varied with respect to time and the relation is 5 times of the time variable t. Next, coming to the system is a physical device. System is a physical device that performs an operation on the signal and gives a modified signal as output. Here we are going to give a input signal that is processed by the system. System will transform it and gives a modified signal as output. Okay, that modification or transformation is done by the system. That is called system. Next, coming to the signal processing of a signal by using a system is called signal processing. So the best example we can consider is, suppose if a blur image is given, and what is the goal here? Our goal is to delete the blur. So it is processed by a filter, which is nothing but a system, and at the output of the filter we get the same image without blur. So that is that signifies the signal processing of a signal by using a system. Next, after the justification of the title, we need to see basic or elementary signals. In the further classes, we are going to discuss classification of systems. Before going to the classification of system, we need to see some basic or elementary signals, where all sorts of signals available in nature are going to be represented by using these basic or elementary signals. Yeah, these are some of the elementary signals: unit step signal, unit ramp, unit parabolic, unit impulse, sinusoidal, real exponential and complex exponential. Yeah, coming to the unit step signal, first let us define what is a step signal. Step signal is one which starts existing for t greater than or equal to 0, and for t less than 0 it does not exist. Okay, that type of signal is called step signal. So it is represented by, see, for t less than 0 it is not defined, that is 0. For t greater than or equal to 0 it goes to a value. Specifically for unit step means the amplitude of the signal is unity. So in case of unit step signal, the quantity amplitude is unity. So it is defined as u of t equal to 1 for positive values of t, and it is 0 for negative values of t. The same signal can also be defined for shifted version. If the unit step signal is shifted by an amount of a to the right side, right or left, here I have taken right side shift. It is denoted as u of t minus a. So u of t minus a means the unit step signal is shifted right by an amount of a. Then with respect to a we need to define. For t greater than or equal to a, it having an amplitude of 1. For t less than a, its amplitude is 0. So that can be written like this: u of t minus a, it is having magnitude only for t greater than or equal to a. In the earlier case, the base is 0. In the earlier case, the base is 0. Now the base is a. With respect to a, we are going to define. For greater than a, it is equal to 1. For less than a, it is not defined. That is unit step signal. Coming to the next one, unit ramp signal. The unit step signal can also be defined for continuous time and discrete time. So in case of continuous time, as I defined here, it is a continuous time signal. For discrete time signal also, we can show the same unit step signal in terms of samples. So it is equal to 0. So it is denoted as u of n. U of n, it is having unity amplitude for n greater than or equal to 0. For 0 and greater than 0, it is having an amplitude of 1, and it is not defined. It means 0 for n less than 0. So we can define the same signal in the discrete sense also. So discrete sense means it contains only samples, not continuous. Okay, that's about unit step signal in continuous time and discrete time. Next, coming to the unit ramp signal. Second one is called unit ramp signal. So it is a signal which starts at t equal to 0 and thereafter increases with respect to the independent variable t. Okay, so it is defined, it is denoted with r of t. It is denoted with r of t. So the r of t equal to, it follows t. T is time variable. So it follows t. The ramp signal follows t for t greater than or equal to 0, for positive values of t. And it does not exist for t less than 0. So that's why it is simply denoted as, for positive values of t, it follows the variable t. Whereas for negative values of t, it is 0. It is not defined. Like that, in continuous time, the ramp signal is defined. And we can define the same signal with a shifted version. So that is denoted as r of t minus a is equal to t minus a for t greater than or equal to a. Similar to the unit step signal, r of t is defined with respect to 0, whereas r of t minus a is defined with respect to a. Okay, shifted version. And at the same time, we can define the ramp signal in the discrete time way. So here also same, whereas in discrete time with the same concept, it is defined for n greater than or equal to 0, the samples are available and it follows n, whereas for n less than 0, it is 0. R of n, it is denoted as r of n. N represents the discrete samples and it follows the discrete samples n for positive values of n, and it is 0 for negative values of n. Similarly, we can define the same for shifted version also. Yeah, third and very important one is unit impulse signal, where if something we need to imagine in the universe and if we want to represent it as a signal on the paper, we are going to use unit impulse signal. So unit impulse signal is also called as Dirac delta function. The best example for unit impulse is a lightning. Lightning exists for very small period of time, but within that small period of time, its magnitude is very large, like that. So it exists for very small interval of time, it means t tends to 0 but amplitude tends to infinity. That type of signals in nature are represented mathematically using unit impulse signal. So the definition is completely different here apart from other signals. Here in continuous time, the unit impulse signal is defined as the area under the impulse is equal to 1. It is nothing but integration means area. The area under impulse is 1 and that is defined only at t equal to 0. So at t equal to 0, its area of the impulse is 1, where for other values of t, it means for t not equal to 0, it is not defined. So unit impulse or Dirac delta function is defined only at t equal to 0. At t equal to 0, it has unit area. Unit area in the sense the width tends to 0, amplitude tends to infinity. That type of signal is denoted in continuous time like this. So the definition is, the equation and the definition is unique for impulse signal in continuous time. So this unit area is denoted in the general sense as an arrow. Arrow means it has unit area. So every time we can't draw like this freely, so that's why it is shown with an arrow. Arrow represents that it has unit area at t equal to 0 and is not defined at other values of 0. Frankly speaking, if we go in depth for the definition of unit impulse, it is specifically defined from 0 minus to 0 plus. 0 minus to 0 plus. 0 minus means just below 0. 0 plus means just above 0. So the unit impulse exists from 0 minus to 0 plus, very small interval of time, and within that small interval its magnitude is very large, tends to infinity. Okay, this is in case of continuous time. Whereas in case of discrete time, so it is very easy to define in case of discrete time, because in case of discrete time the impulse is denoted with a simple sample with an amplitude of 1. Remember, it does not have any area. It is defined purely at n equal to 0. So at n equal to 0, it has an amplitude of 1. At all other values, it is not defined. It means 0. So the confusion that we have in continuous time is not there in case of discrete time. So that's why it is not represented with arrow. It's a simple sample with an amplitude of 1. Okay. Similarly, we can shifted version also by an amount of a. In this example, del of n minus 3 means the impulse is shifted right by an amount of 3. So it is far easy to define an impulse in the discrete sense. The reason is very simple. You might know that in case of discrete time, the next immediate sample after 0 is 1 only. If the time interval is 1, the next immediate sample after 0 is 1. So the next immediate sample after 0, this side is minus 1. So there is no question of 0 minus and 0 plus. That concept is not there. So it having unity amplitude at 0, otherwise it is 0. That's about discrete time impulse signal. In most of the cases, in our general usage, we go for discrete time for its easiness. Next, for the next 3, another classification of a basic signal is a sinusoidal signal. Sinusoidal signal has, in nature, sinusoidal signal is a signal which oscillates around a time period. The signal which exhibits oscillation of its existence, then that is called sinusoidal signal. It is symbolically denoted as, with the mathematical equation, it is denoted as x of t in time domain, a sin or cos, a sin omega t plus pi. Here a is the amplitude of the sinusoidal signal, and omega is the angular frequency of the signal, where omega equal to 2 pi f, and where f equal to 1 by t, time period of the sinusoidal signal, and pi is the phase angle. pi is the phase angle. So the sinusoidal signal in continuous time contains these three parameters: amplitude, frequency and phase. Okay, so how do we define the frequency of the signal? So take one period of the sinusoidal signal. Here it is t. Take any one period, it is t. Reciprocal of t, 1 by t is nothing but f. 2 pi times of f will give the angular frequency omega. Like that we can find out the angular frequency omega from the given waveform. Similarly, the A is the maximum amplitude of the sinusoidal signal, is considered as A, maximum amplitude. And phase angle pi means, suppose here we have taken sine. In sine, sine 0 equal to 0. Sine 0 equal to 0, that's why it exists like this, sinusoidal signal. If at 0, if sine 0 is not 0, it means if it is shifted further, like this, that shifting is denoted with phase angle pi. So in most of the cases, to avoid confusion, we don't consider pi equal to 0. So if pi equal to 0, sine 0 is 0, cos 0 equal to 1. Other than this, that introduce the phase angle pi. So that's about sinusoidal signal. Next, the same sinusoidal signal can also be considered in discrete time sense, in discrete time version, where the concept is same, but the signal is denoted in terms of the samples n. So the same sinusoidal signal is defined with respect to samples n. Remaining parameters are same. A is the amplitude, omega is the angular frequency, phi is the phase angle. Yeah, next, real exponential signal. This is another type of basic or elementary signals where it is denoted as A into e power alpha t. Some constant into e power constant times of t. Where here A and alpha are real. Where A and alpha are real. So here we are going to see for fixed value of A and for different values of alpha, we can define the shape of this real exponential signal. Actually, real means here alpha is real. Real. In the next classification, we are going to define it as complex, where that contains both real part and imaginary part. Right now here, here alpha is only real. Now let us see for different values of alpha. So first, straight away, if you take alpha equal to 0, e power 0 equal to 1, so x of t equal to a, x of t equal to a, which is constant irrespective of t. So it is defined like that, irrespective of t changes, the amplitude is constant at a. Next, other two possibilities are for alpha greater than 0 and for alpha less than 0. For alpha greater than 0, you can take an example. Let it be x of t equal to e power 2t. Here alpha equal to 2 is a positive value. So if you take different values of t, you can easily observe that as t increases, as t variable t increases, amplitude increases. That's why it is called, it is denoted as increasing exponential. Increasing exponential. Increasing exponential in the sense, as the variable t increases, amplitude also increases. Another possibility is if alpha is less than 0 for negative values of alpha. You can take the same example, x of t equal to e power minus 2t. Here alpha equal to minus 2. If you substitute different values of t, you can easily observe that as the variable t increases, the amplitude starts decreasing. So then it is denoted as decreasing exponential. Decreasing exponential. So for different values of alpha, and we get either constant or increasing exponential or decreasing exponential. Okay, and one more point you need to remember is here the real value alpha is in the power stage. Power stage. Next. The same signal can also be represented in discrete time. For clarity, I have given it here. There is no change in the concept. Okay, you can see the same signal in discrete time. So here in the discrete time, the real exponential is denoted as, here the discrete time exponential is denoted as x of n equal to a power n. The one difference when compared to continuous time is the variable a is in the base place. So here the different possibilities for a are a less than 1, a greater than 1. Similarly for negative values, a is in between -1 to 0 and a is less than -1. Why 4 cases means here the variable a is in the base place. For base place we don't compare it with respect to 0, with respect to 1. Greater than 1, 0 to 1, similarly less than -1 and greater than -1. 4 cases, isn't it? So for less than 1 case, it is a decreasing exponential, the samples are decreased. For a greater than 1, it is an increasing exponential. For negative values, the same concept, but the samples are alternate. Samples are alternate. Here also decreasing exponential, but alternate values. One positive value, one negative value. One positive value, one negative value. Similarly here, increasing exponential with amplitudes alternate. Yeah, the last one is complex exponential, where it is denoted as a into e power st. Try to compare it with real exponential, where real exponential x of t is denoted as a into e power alpha t. Already I told you, here alpha is real, whereas in complex exponential, here s is complex. So it contains both real and imaginary part. So s equal to real part sigma plus imaginary part j omega. So if we substitute s sigma plus j omega, we can get to this simplification, a into e power sigma t into sinusoidal signals, cos omega t plus j sin omega t. Now here try to see the different possibilities for the shape of the signal. Here two separate things. First, if omega equal to 0, so there is no sinusoidal signal, it is purely x of t is real exponential. X of t is simply real exponential. All the 3 cases we have seen earlier. So that is for omega equal to 0. 3 cases. For alpha equal to 0, alpha less than 0, alpha greater than 0. Next, second case, omega exists, and if sigma equal to 0, if the real part sigma equal to 0, we have only omega, then x of t is simply sinusoidal. Either sine or cosine is available. This e power sigma t will be 1. So the shape of the signal is simply a sinusoidal signal. Next, third case, if both exist, if omega not equal to 0 and sigma not equal to 0, it means both parameters exist. Then it is a combination of real exponential and sinusoidal. In this case, if sigma equal to greater than 0 and omega exists, then it exhibits real exponential with sinusoidal. So then x of t is named as exponentially increasing sinusoidal. Sinusoidal because omega is not equal to 0, and increasing exponential because sigma is greater than 0. Another case opposite. If sigma is less than 0, it will give decreasing exponential, and omega is also there. So it is named as, then x of t is named as exponentially decreasing sinusoidal. Yeah, we can see the shapes of all these signals for different values like this. For a different value, for omega exist, and for sigma equal to 0 it is simply a sinusoidal. And if both exist, real part sigma and imaginary parts omega both exist, it is either decreasing exponentially decreasing sinusoidal or exponentially increasing sinusoidal. That's about basic or elementary signals. In the next class we are going to deal the classification of signals. Yeah, thank you.